Question 32. Find all the zeros of this function. Well, I'm going to run straight to my calculator here. I've kind of slid it up there just a little bit. So I'm just going to graph this guy and find his zeros. That's always the easiest way. Um, Now maybe, hopefully they'll come out perfect. If they don't, then we may have to do some other things here. Let's see here. So there's my 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 9. And I'll go graph, and I have to go zoom 6. Mine is zoom standard, just like yours is. Looks like I got another equation in there, so I'm going to hit my y equals here. Yeah, y equals 6 right there. I'm going to clear that out and go back to my graph. So my zeros are where it crosses the x-axis. So it looks like I've got a 0 at -1, but a 0 at 3, and a 0 at 1.5. So -1, 3, and 1.5. Now, let's say I want to check these things, 1.5 right there. Okay, so -1 is a solution, which means x plus 1 should be a factor of this polynomial, always x minus the solution. And so I'm going to do a quick synthetic division here just to verify my answers. There's no x's plus 9. Now my remainder better be 0 because x plus 1 has to be a factor here. So I've multiplied, put my answer, added, I multiply, -1 times -9 is 9, and I add. We're just adding these columns once we figure out we have to add, and then -1 times 9 is -9. Yeah, my remainder is 0. And this is now a 2x squared minus 9x plus 9 equation. And that's probably got these other two solutions in them. So if I were to factor that, and you wouldn't have to, right? We already know the answers here. But I'm going to factor it just to remind us how to factor when our a value does not equal 1. Okay, so just as a refresher here, you know it's going to be right away. You start with 2x and 2x, it's just your ax and your ax, but they aren't squared, because when you multiply, they become squared. They actually become a 4x squared, but don't worry, one of these will simplify before we get done. Then to do your rs, remember, you have to take a times c. Oops, I missed my c there. A times c, so 2 times 9 is 18. So whatever goes in here for r and s, it has to multiply to give you that 18. But the r plus s still needs to add to that b value, -9. So let's see what multiplies to 18. Now, I've got a big clue over here. One of my answers, I think, is 3. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm going to have a 3 here necessarily, because this 2 would cause that 3 to get divided by 2. You don't have to worry about it, but I do know I have to get an answer of 3, so a 6 right here would actually work. But we're going to go ahead and work out the math here to see how it goes. So I'm going to use a 6 times a 3. Those two you could see multiply to 18, and they could add up to -9 if they're both negative. So I'll make them both negative. Now they add up to -9, and they've multiplied to a positive. So -6 and -3. And then you need to look for a common factor in this binomial, or this one, or both. Now here they're both divisible by 2. Here these two are not divisible by any common factor. So I'm going to divide these both by 2, giving me my final factorization. And I'm going to check each of these to make sure they give me the solutions I thought they should. So x minus 3 equals 0, x equals 3. Yeah, that one checks just perfect. And then 2x minus 3 equals 0, so I add 3 to both sides, and I divide by 2. And yeah, I get that 1.5 right there. So graphically, boy, talk about easy. And if we need to, though, we can actually find factors once we get one solution. And that's it for problem number 32.